We're ready?
We're ready.
All right. Good morning. I will call to order the February 8th, 2021, the meeting of Old Town Local Review Board. Roll call. Board Secretary.
Board Member Blair.
Here.
Board Member Delval.
Present.
Board Member Jackson.
Present.
And Board Member Bays.
Present.
And Board Member Moore is not present.
Okay. Do we have any public comments at this time?
We have no public comments at this time.
Okay. All right, then I guess we'll move right on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the local review board request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar or separate action. And since we do not have a quorum from the old board, I would like to continue the January 11th, 2021 for the approve agendas for July 13th, 2020. This is where I was going to ask a question. If for some reason Peg is incapacitated the next meeting, can we do a special, I mean, it's not really that, the meeting notes aren't that critical, right? I mean, Luke, can we just,
What we can do is, we'll wait, like we talked about, to see if Peg can join us. But if she can't, as long as everyone has, all of the board members, a quorum of the board members that are present at the next meeting have reviewed the minutes, then you can vote on it.
okay. And let's see. Juan and Michael, do you have a copy of the July 13th meeting minutes, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if Peg is not available next month or the next meeting, then we will approve those meeting minutes based on the quorum that we have at that time. Agreed?
Agree.
Thanks, Luke, for your help. All right, so since we're deferring those to the next meeting, approve the action meetings for July 11th, 2021. Do I have a motion from the members that are here in a second?
I so move.
I second the motion.
All right. Then we have a motion from Blair and the second one from Michael, correct?
Correct.
Now, can we call for a vote, please?
Board Member Bays,
Yes.
Blair,
Here, yes.
Delval,
Yes.
Jackson.
Approve.
Carries 4-0.
Okay. Moving on to the board business. Item number 2 is on the agenda is the appointments for 2021, the election of a chair and vice chair for 2021.
Make a motion.
Do we have a nomination for chair?
Motion to nominate Ross Jackson for chair.
I'll second.
Okay.
So we had Bays make the motion,
Yes, Bays made the motion
second,
and a second by Blair.
and for the roll call vote, Board Member Bays,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Delval,
Yes.
Jackson,
Sure, thank you. I appreciate your support and I will try to do a very good job for you as best I can. Okay, the next one is for nomination of vice chair. Do we have a nomination for a board member for vice chair? And may I have a second, motion in a second, please? I'll make a motion to have Mr. Blair be vice chair.
I will have to decline.
Okay, sir. Well, that leaves the two of you guys. Michael, I'd like to nominate you as vice chair. Might as well get your feet wet now while you can.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay,
And I'll accept. Thank you.
all right. Can we please call for a roll call?
Yes. Board Member Bays,
Yes, thank you.
Blair,
Yes.
Dovell,
Yes.
and Jackson.
Yes.
4-0 with more absent.
Okay. Now onto the agenda to update the Sam Hicks Memorial Park perimeter fence. Can I get a staff report, please?
Yes, good morning, board members and staff. My name's Stacy Fox. I'm with the Public Works Department. I'm the landscape maintenance supervisor. Just give you a quick background on the perimeter fence at Sam Hicks Park. This project is a capital improvement project that was approved by council for this fiscal 2021 year. Project includes the design and installation of a decorative perimeter fencing to surround Sam Hicks Monument Park. And we are currently actually out to bid for this project, and we expect to once we finalize a proponent, construction should begin in May. Right here's the kind of an area of the park that's kind of outlining the location of that fence. So as you can see, it will extend, from the hotel on Moreno down Moreno towards Mercedes, and then that goes up and then ties into the chapel there. And then on the parking lot side, it extends from the restroom concession building up to the museum, kind of enclosed in that area. And at each walkway, there'll be a gate and pilasters that are granite veneered to match existing granite within Old Town. And we'll actually have some vehicle access gates accessing into the park to help facilitate events and other activities that we have within the park. So as you can see too, also on the corner around the monument, that will actually be fenced in too. And separate to this fence project, the steps will be removed and a landscape planter will be installed in its place. That concludes my update. If there's any questions, be happy to answer those.
Yes, the tree at the corner. Are you going around the base of the tree, or how's that working?
There was a tree on the corner there that's no longer there. So it's actually been removed. It's in this aerial picture, but that tree was actually, we've since removed it and replanted a replacement tree that's kind of behind the fence out of the way. The other existing elm trees along Moreno, the fence will actually kind of jog around those to protect those trees in place and not to harm those. Those are a big asset in our park for shade and the beauty of the park. So we're working the fence design and the layout to kind of around those different features.
The east perimeter, is there a fence already there by that parking lot?
Yeah, correct. Between with the Motel 6 and the park, there's a chain link fence.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll actually tie into it, not attach to it, but the fence post would be adjacent to it to kind of secure that point there.
Okay. And at the museum building, at the green roof building, what is that building?
That's the History Museum.
Oh, okay. is it necessary to put the fence all the way to the corner of the building instead of just going right there at the parking lot and tying it up there?
Right, yeah, part of so the fence section across the park where it goes up to the building, that will be the four rail ranch style decorative fencing. And at the point of there's a walkway there on the side of the museum, that'll actually be a wrought iron fence to secure the side of that building and have an employee emergency access gate, emergency exit gate for employee entrance. So that will actually be a black wrought iron fencing to protect the side of that building.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, Stacy, did you say you had an exhibit of the fence itself that you sent over to Jonathan?
Yeah, there's
Page 2.
there's a plan detail sheet.
Yeah.
Should be one more.
CD1. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
There it was.
Yeah, for a second.
Yeah, for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There.
We can do the view and rotate.
Yeah, go to view and rotate. There we go.
So at each gate, the pedestrian gate access points, there actually be a wrought iron fence, but in the pilasters on the side of those gates that will frame that will be the CMU block and then veneered with a granite. And it's actually the same granite or coming from the same quarry as a lot of the light pole bases within Old Town and existing light pole bases in Sam Hicks Park. It's the same granite from the same quarry. So we have a pretty good close match to that.
Is the gates on a perimeter timer, or are they going to be locked out by the city or at 5 o'clock or what?
They won't be locked up. They'll just be a swinging gate. They'll actually be double hinged, so they'll swing out and in either direction you're going. You'll be able to just push them. Similar to what we have around the duck pond. It's just unlocked all the time. You just push in, push out.
So I'm going to ask a question, and it's so the idea of putting this park in is obviously for families and for the Temecula families in the surrounding area to come and play. When is it going to be open for actual use? Any ideas, Luke?
It's open now.
I mean, people can go there with their children.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's open now. In fact, I was just happened to be in Old Town yesterday, and it was in heavy use by all manner of children and families, and I think there was actually even a birthday party going on there, small one.
We actually just replaced the playground there, so that's kind of revitalized the park, and we're seeing a lot of use coming back to that park.
We've driven by several times. We've seen it in use all the time. Very, very obvious that we need that fence there for for safety purposes, for the kids and such.
Well, now talking about the biggest elephant in the room, what are they going to do about I mean, if I was a mother with small children going there during the day and the homeless are there, I'd be a little concerned and scared personally. But
you raise a really good point. And I think we discussed it a little bit at the last meeting. There's really two things that probably are worth considering. One is that as a parent, as I'm sure a lot of us are, having that whole area fenced, without any gates or locked gates is actually better, because your kids can be there and that there's only one way out, right through that other exit. that's a, you know, that's a godsend, you know, when you're a parent, you have like multiple kids and they're, you know, running around like maniacs. And then the other thing, like we talked about the transient community, is that if you just have one way into that, that's a lot easier for, you know, law enforcement to manage, right? Because there's just one place that they can actually get in and out. So I think, you know, Ross had mentioned, you know, this idea of maybe having, you know, gates on timers or something like that. But regardless, those are two things that we should definitely consider, right? As far as, you know, the effectiveness.
I mean, does this, probably stepping out of my bounds here a little bit, but Luke, does the city have any plans for, you know, patrolling that more with hopefully deter the homeless from showing up?
Yeah, the city is, you know, PD has patrolled this area, you know,
Yeah.
frequently. It's, you know, it's been a hot spot over the years. And I think, not entirely, but partially, you know, the improvements that are going into the park are to help with that issue. So, I mean, the police respond whenever there's anyone there that is, you know, doing anything illegal, but it is a public park. So they are allowed to, you know, everyone's allowed to be there.
Yes.
But with the additions of the playground equipment upgrades, which are pretty fantastic, actually, if you haven't been by to see them,
Yes.
and the increased activity that brings that we're already seeing pretty heavily, coupled with, you know, just kind of the access control, which has, you know, more than one benefit, as Board Member Bays pointed out. As a parent, I do agree. Having everyone enclosed makes it a little easier to go out, especially when you're right adjacent to a street like that. So, you know, we're hoping, and I know Pat probably has his thoughts too, and I know it's been interdepartmental with community services, PD, and city manager's office, that, you know, the improvements that are going in are going to kind of transform the park into what it was meant to be, and we'll have the activity we want there, and that will deter. It will make it just, you know, less inviting for folks, because, you know, I mean, over the last few years, there hasn't been really anything going on there. There's been no active park use there. So
Mhm.
it's right here in Old Town. So I mean, it made sense that it would be a congregation area for transients, but you know, hopefully that we can work on that through these improvements. And I think we're seeing the benefits now.
Okay, cool. All right, is there anything else?
I think Blair had something to say.
Blair did?
Oh, I thought I saw you putting your hand up. I'm sorry. Albert, they're just your name got partially
All right,
erased there for a second.
well, if we're finished with that staff report, thank you very much, Stacy, for the report. I will ask my colleagues if they have any questions of staff.
No questions. Thank you. Thanks for laying that out. Appreciate it.
DeVal,
No questions. Thanks for the presentation.
Blair,
No. Yeah, yes, thanks for the presentation.
and of course, I hope Moore is okay. I hope Peg's okay. Have you been talking to her?
Yeah, she's okay. She's okay. She's just in transition right now.
Yeah.
You know, things, and we've been talking to her daughter. So she's okay. She's stable. It's not nothing imminent or anything like that, but just in a position to attend the meeting.
Okay. Well, at this time, I don't have any questions. So have we received any public comments?
No, we have not received any public comments.
Okay. Oh. Okay, so I guess we'll move right on to the Director of Public Works report.
Morning, board members. I've got some updates for you on some other projects and things that the city has been working on, and a few other agencies in and around Old Town. First one is the Murrieta Creek project. If you're familiar with that project, the improvements that were done in the creek over the last few years, and most recently, and kind of the final portion of this, what's called Phase 2A of Murrieta Creek is removal of the vegetation and the silt from the downstream portion, so south of First Street. So, and this is all being done under a contract with the Army Corps of Engineers. They removed the vegetation late last year, so you probably saw that. And then they're planning to remove the sediment that's built up in that downstream portion, and weren't able to do that at this time of year. So they're actually waiting until September. So so this September, they will start with the removal of the sediment in the downstream portion there, as well as some of the upstream segments that have some sediment built up. So you'll see some activity this fall of removal of the sediment through that section of the channel. And then, and I know we've all been waiting anxiously for the trail, the paved trail and the DG trail on the west side to open. We've been encouraging the Army Corps and Riverside County Flood to get that trail open as soon as possible. They're waiting for the trail and the improvements that all needs to be, because it's owned by the flood control district, but the work was constructed by the Corps. It has to first be turned over from the Corps to the flood control district. And then the trail and the landscaping is actually going to be overseen and maintained by the city once the trails are open. So we'll be entering into a maintenance agreement with the flood control district that the city will provide that maintenance, and they're waiting for this turnover from the Corps to the flood control district to happen before we can then take over maintenance. So unfortunately, the timing of all that isn't going to occur until probably late summer, early fall this year. So we've got several more months of work that needs to be done in getting those documents together, and then the plan would be to open the trails to the public. So so we're looking at probably September, October when that will likely happen. And like I said, we've been pushing them as much as possible to get that done. And unfortunately, it's just government bureaucracy. I hate to say it, but
Yeah, I was going to say it for you.
that's what it is. So, but we've been trying to cut through it as much as possible, but haven't been that successful. But we're keeping the pressure on as much as we can. So that's what's going on Murrieta Creek. Sidewalks and walkways in Old Town. Yeah, I'm sure you're all aware that the removal of the boardwalk was completed and the stamped concrete was done. We just took out the last little piece of wood there in front of the Truax Hotel site on Front Street and replaced that with asphalt. So we have a smooth surface there. We just put in some asphalt walkway on 4th Street. So we have a continuous walkway now on the north side of 4th Street. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. And then we are working with the Truax group, Ross and his team, and going to be putting in an asphalt walkway on the south side of 3rd Street. So we've got a continuous protected walking path on 3rd Street. So that's in the works. It's going on actually this morning. I think we started with that. So that'll be going on this week. And then the city's also working on a project, and this one's a little more complicated because it required some engineering, and then we'll have to actually bid it out. But we're going to be doing the permanent improvements on 5th Street, both west of Front Street and then the little portion east of Front Street in front of the Palomar Hotel. So the more complicated part is the portion west of Front Street. So we'll be doing the rolled curb and concrete sidewalk along Mad Madeline's and extending that all the way to the creek, basically to the landscaping there at the creek. And so that'll be completed on that west side of Front Street. So Fifth will be done all the way to the creek. And then the little portion in front of the Palomar Hotel on the east side of Front Street, we've got a overhead utility pole that we'll need to do undergrounding of that service. And then we'll do the concrete curb and sidewalk there. And that'll give us a complete walking path on Fifth Street as well. So those are a couple things in the works. Another project that we just completed here was we replaced the paving in the Children's Museum parking lot. So we had some concrete paving in that parking lot that was kind of in disrepair. So that was removed and it was paved with asphalt. So that's completed now also. Let's see, we went over everything going on there at Sam Hicks. Wanted to further mention, that fence project, it's really not because the fencing material, it's a rail fence. It's more decorative than intended to be a security fence. But it does provide, some certain level of protection and security around the perimeter. And then, just another, you mentioned as far as the homeless activity there in the park, the sheriff's department and the HOT team are working hard to try to address those issues there at the park as well. So we think that, like Luke was saying, with and a lot more activity and activating that park, that'll discourage the use of it by the homeless folks. So and we're well on our way to really turning that park around. So that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any members have any questions?
No.
Well, I think sounds good. The whole thing sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Code enforcement report. Oh, I'm sorry. Community development report.
I think actually it's board member reports. Right.
Yes. Well, I think we talked about that. Do we have any board member reports? Blair?
Well, I would just like to maybe greet the new members. I really haven't met you, and it's nice to know that there are some new people on the board. Maybe we'll meet sometime in the future. I hope so.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
Deval, do you have anything you would like to report?
No, no report.
Bays?
I have no reports.
And at this time, I only one small thing that I'd like to address is that a couple of weeks ago at our building, we actually 3 or 4 weeks ago, I've noticed a lot of homeless at the corner of 2nd and Front Street waiting to get into the hotel for spending the night at the hotel, which I think is a great idea. However, since they probably don't all get selected to go in, we've been having some break-ins into our trash room again. I put a commercial hasp on it and a commercial lock on a Saturday morning, and this Saturday night they broke it off and got in there and did some damage inside the trash room. So with that, we now put a heavier duty lock on there, more like a storage unit lock. It's a round one. And we are going to actually put a commercial roll-up door as more security. Have you noticed or have you heard anything from Luke? Have you heard anything around the neighborhood?
Well, first of all, on the queuing there, for the folks that are trying to get into the emergency winter shelter, which is at the hotel.
Right.
We did have our team speak with the hotel and Project Touch, which runs that operation, and to have them queue up on the property. So inside the property is where they're supposed to be queuing up. So we shouldn't be seeing the queue on the public sidewalk there.
Right.
At least that's what we should be seeing. And I drove by a couple nights and have noticed that that's at least happening those nights that I drove by. so that's kind of what we're working on there. It's always unfortunate to hear, about the break-ins. I think it's, I don't know about any, I'd have to talk to PD to see if they're having any uptick in any one particular area, have a hot spot or something like that. But you make a good point with the emergency shelter there, and I know they only have limited spaces. Is that actually spilling over to some kind of problem in that local, really localized area? So I'll have to talk to PD. I'll have to talk to our TCSD folks who work with SWAG, who's the on the ground team that kind of communicates with the transient population, and see if there is really something that's kind of a spillover effect happening there if there's a hot spot. I don't know right now. I guess it's easy to draw the conclusion that might be, they don't get a spot, and so they're there and they look for the quickest place to find shelter or whatever. So I'll have to get back with you on that. I've made a note, and I'll try to go ahead and report back directly to you, Ross, on your property, and then the board as a whole at the next meeting.
Well, just a little case in point there is that the bakery comes in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and so does some of the staff at Goat and Vine, and they go into the trash room and get startled by somebody sleeping inside the trash room.
Yeah. No, understandable. And I will follow up on that for you.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have. So, code enforcement report. Anybody? Do we have a report from code enforcement?
I see Tom there.
He's on.
I see him. Oh, there you go.
We go. Okay, I had the mute on. We've had a lot of transient activity in the hills to the west of Old Town. If you're not aware, the PD, the hunt team has chased them out on multiple occasions. We're working with the property owners to have a substantial cleanup out there, which unfortunately happens every couple of years. Additionally, we've had an increase in graffiti activity throughout Old Town and the city in general. So we have been quite busy with that. And also in Old Town, we've had some noise complaints. We've had some after hours, several businesses that are supposed to be closed have not been closed. And the COVID complaints continue to come in. And if you're not aware, what we do from code enforcement standpoint is we'll post those businesses with a notice that said they may be in violation of governor's orders, but we do not enforce anything COVID related other than that. Does anybody have any questions?
Does anybody on the board have a question?
I have no questions.
No question.
No,
I have no questions either. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much for your report, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so then if that's the case, I'd like to call for an adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, real
Yes.
quick, if I may, just one quick note. I just wanted to let everyone know on the board that coming up here, and let me get this, I want to make sure I get the date just right. It'll be the city council meeting of the 23rd. Will be the annual joint meeting of the board and the city council. So this is an annual thing we do with all the commissions and all the boards. It's and Ross and Al have been there for this, but basically it's a chance, it's a once a year chance at the beginning of the year for the board to kind of get some face time with the city council in as a group in an open meeting. The staff will prepare a presentation for the chair that will go over the previous year's successes and highlights, and then talk about the upcoming year. But I just wanted to get that on your radar because everyone will want everyone to attend that meeting, that city council meeting. You'll get a chance.
it'll actually be in the city council. I mean, it'll be
No, it'll be virtual.
virtual. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be just like this,
I got you.
unfortunately, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I know that we have new members, so I wanted to get that on your radar ahead of time. Again, that's the 23rd. So that will be not the meeting we have this week, but the next meeting.
So is that at 7 o'clock?
It will be at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
We sit through the whole meeting until
No,
we.
So,
Typically it has been at the end of the meeting.
Yes.
The commission, the weekly commission reports have been moved to the front of the meeting. So I think there'll probably be a discussion about putting it up front. So it's not all the way at the end when everybody's kind of worn out. So stay tuned on that. That's a decision of the city manager, but I'm sure we'll be talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I have.
all right, well, thank you very much for that update. So it's city council virtual meeting, February 23rd, 7 o'clock.
That's
So
right.
everybody put that on your calendar so you can attend.
Got it.
Okay. So at this time, I'm going to call for adjournment. The next regular meeting of our board shall be Monday, March 8th at 9 o'clock.
I saw move for adjournment.
I second.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Greatly appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Thanks, everybody.